For many reasons, this video could be the very first one in all of the metacognition and productivity classes out there. And once we're done watching it, I hope that you can promise me you will never again say, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." Here's a very quick version of this video. You likely need more sleep. Duh. Quick disclaimer, I'm no expert. However, I do like to listen to experts and I like to experiment with my habits. So this video, like many others from us, is a combination of insightful, relevant information that we found by reading, listening, and watching people who are way more knowledgeable than we are. There are many books, podcasts, videos, and probably movies that you can watch and read about sleep. But my personal recommendation is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I'm going to link those below if you want to check him out. He has a podcast and also a book, so I would recommend listening to both. Breaking news. An app that I want to give you that I used for a while is called Sleep Cycle. It helps you track your sleep, but it also lets you, on the following day, put down, or even before you go to bed, what you did that day. And with time, you start gathering data so you can see what helps your sleep and what messes it up, okay? It also divides your sleep into, the multiple stages of sleep. It's a pretty neat app. I stopped using because I feel like I learned what I needed and I got what I needed from it. It is slightly creepy that, it listens to you. But, it's just a recommendation for you. And honestly, if you're considering getting one of those sleep trackers and such, but you're looking into the apps, don't waste time. Just, honestly, don't do what I did. Just take my word for it and try it. If it's not good for you, then, move on. But chances are it will be good if you're looking for something like this, so don't waste a lot of time. I don't think I need to explain to you why sleeping is so important. However, I want you to think of it as your reset system. If your reset system is off, everything else is going to be off. But if you don't believe me, go after the references we linked below, and you can make up your own mind. However, without further ado, let's get to the 12 tips for better sleep. Tip number 1. Schedule wake up and sleep times. In short, consistency is key. If you get your body used to, going to bed at 10 p.m. and waking up at 6 a.m., eventually your body will adjust to it and will slowly get to those things naturally. 2. Create the best possible environment for you to sleep. It may sound obvious, but, sometimes it's not as obvious. Find a place that is relaxing. Make your room a place that you like. A place that you can actually rest. 3. Don't use your bed for non-bed things. Don't watch TV or spend your whole day in bed. You want to set it so your brain understands that whenever you're going to bed, you're going to bed. You're just going to do things that you do in the bed. 4. Artificial light and melatonin. I'm going to dissect this a little bit more, but remember, melatonin is high at night and low in the morning. Melatonin is a hormone that your body releases to help you fall asleep. Hence why it's high at night and low in the morning. But the problem is that artificial light messes up your melatonin levels, especially between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. So do everything that you can to reduce screen time or completely erase it between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. And again, this happens because your body attempts to guess what time of the day it is based on the amount of light it's getting. So if at 2 a.m. you're getting light, your bright phone, your body's going to be like, I guess it's time to wake up, and it's really not. 5. Exercise regularly. We don't need to talk a lot about this because there's tons of research that already shows that, but think through it logically. If throughout the day you're spending more energy and you're using your body the way it's supposed to be used, at night when it's time to rest, well, your body's tired and you're going to fall asleep and you're going to have better sleep. 6. Create a bedtime routine. This is perhaps one of my favorite ones because, when you take the time to wind down, say it's 8 p.m. and now, you're going to light a candle, you're going to read your book, you're going to dim the lights and so on, you start looking forward to falling asleep. It's like it's your routine, it's your night thing, it's your moment. It's sort of also a me time. So a couple of suggestions is put your PJs, light a candle, read a book, put some lo-fi music, I don't know, whatever relaxes you. Again, you're looking for something that will relax you. You're trying to sleep. You're not trying to, go jumping off the walls. 7, Cooler body temperature helps you fall asleep. Okay, it turns out that your body has to lower its temperature by a little bit in order to fall asleep. And then also, when it's time to wake up, the warmer environment, a higher temperature, is necessary for you to actually wake up. That's why it's easier to wake up in the summer than it is to wake up in the winter. Now, for those of you that like to automate things, here's an idea for you. You can set up so your AC makes it cooler at night when it's time to go to bed or a little bit before bed. And then the temperature rises as it's getting closer to the time that you're going to wake up. Something else that you can do is with this bedtime routine, you can also set up in a way that once it's time for you to wind down, this automated system dims the lights for you and maybe even plays that playlist that you like quietly and such. And if you even want to go an extra step, not with the automation, cold showers have multiple benefits for your health. I did it for a while. Turns out you see the benefits. I don't know why I didn't stick with it. I should probably go back, especially because it's still summer. Number 8, avoid caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine. Let's talk about caffeine first. A few years ago, I stopped drinking caffeine past 3 p.m. and I will never go back. Turns out that the half-life of caffeine is about 5 hours. What is that? Half-life is how long it takes for, say you drink 100 milligrams of caffeine. After 5 hours, there will still be about 50 milligrams in your system. And after 10 hours, there will be 25. So it's how long does it take for it to be cut by half? So think of this. If you're having caffeine by 2 p.m., for example, by 6 p.m., you're going to have 50 milligrams. And by 10, you're going to have about 25. Okay, it's almost gone, basically. Now, what if you had that caffeine at 6 p.m.? Now, well, when it's time to go to bed and it's 10 p.m., you're still going to have half of that caffeine in the system. And remember, caffeine doesn't actually wake you up. It just blocks the neuroreceptors that make you feel tired. So instead of waking you up, it just tells your body, hey, you're not tired. So by the time you need to go to bed, you are actually tired, but your system is like, okay, I'm not tired. Whereas your body really needs sleep. So that's reason number 1, I stopped drinking caffeine past 2, 3 p.m. Because if I go to bed at 10 p.m., well, take 8 hours from that, and that's your so-called time. This means you should avoid caffeine past 2 p.m. if you want to make your sleep optimal. Now, something else on caffeine. I don't drink caffeine within, a couple hours after I wake up. So say I wake up at 7, I'm not going to drink caffeine until it's 9 a.m. or so. The reason for that is your body, when it's waking up, it releases cortisol. This cortisol brings alertness, it wakes you up. And your body creates this process naturally. When we drink caffeine, we block this process. So just the reason alone that we're blocking this process was already enough for me to be like, let me try going without it. The second thing is, once this cortisol level rises, it will eventually fall. So say it's falling by 9 a.m. Now I'm starting to feel, that's the moment when I drink caffeine and I, snap right back into it. So now not only am I not blocking a natural process of my body, but I also get to enjoy the caffeine that I'm drinking, the coffee, because I like the taste. And it's not like I need it. It's like I can use it. It's like, I get to drink it. On top of all the benefits that I already mentioned, I've had friends of mine mention to me that they felt benefits on the gut health realm because, caffeine is acidic. So if you're not drinking in the morning, there's also the chance that caffeine was disturbing your system. So, now that's another benefit in case you fall under that category. And then there's also usually my second cup of the day might be right after lunch to avoid that drowsiness, that laziness that you get after eating, especially around 12 or so. There's a book called When by Daniel H. Pink that I'm going to link below talking about that. And that book also talks about something called a nappuccino that we discuss in our time management course. Finally, in this caffeine one, don't get me wrong, it will take you a long time to get used to not drinking coffee in the morning. The first 2 months may be awful, like miserable, but I promise it's worth it. Give it a shot, at least give it a shot. Now about alcohol. In his podcast and his book, Why We Sleep, Matthew Walker explains that drinking alcohol, even, a glass of wine that we like to think that helps our sleep, that actually hurts our sleep cycles. The basis for the argument is that alcohol is really a sedative. So although you may feel like you passed out, your body didn't rest. And he also puts that you might not even remember, but you woke up many nights during the night, but because you were drunk, you might not even remember that. And adding on to that point, he explains that theoretically, the best time to drink alcohol would be, earlier in the day or even the morning. The farthest away you are from going to sleep, the better. But then obviously for social reasons, you don't really want to be out there drinking in the morning. So the lesson we get here is if you can, avoid alcohol, don't drink alcohol, give up alcohol. But if you still want to do it for social reasons, at least now you know, or whatever other reason, at least now you know that this will have an impact in your sleep. But because you were drunk and those were so short, you might not even remember that. But your sleep is actually a lot worse. So the next time you decide to drink, at least you now have the full comprehension of what's actually going on with your body throughout that night. 9. Don't hit snooze. I know this is hard, it's complicated. Again, Matthew Walker explains that hitting snooze, the sound that we get from the alarm over and over, that's a stressful event. You know this, I know this. The sound of your alarm is likely the worst thing we could possibly hear. It's like, it's time to wake up. But then you hit snooze. The problem is, that event, that stressful event is going to happen again in 5-10 minutes. And the problem is that extra time that you're giving yourself with that snooze button is not enough time to rest. So you're really just kind of existing between that realm of being stressed and trying to sleep and being stressed and trying to sleep. So you're not really getting any more rest. Number 10. Exposure to natural light in the morning. This is one of the things that I learned at the Huberman Lab podcast. And it's likely one of the most insightful podcasts I've ever listened to. I will link below the episode and the snippets and, all the whole thing. But you want to get natural light from 5 to 20 minutes within the first hour, or so that you wake up. That will do a few things for you. 1, it will wake you up by releasing cortisol even. Remember, we're talking about coffee. So maybe you can combine those two protocols. And it will start setting your circadian rhythm, telling your body, hey, it's time to wake up. It's time to function. It's the morning. And then the same thing works later in the day once it's time for the sunset. It's actually been proven. I think it's the very same podcast episode that I was just mentioning. If you go out there and you see the sunset and you're getting that light, that low light that tells your body that it is sunset, that offsets the blue light that you're getting from your phones at night. So if you're gonna be using your phone or seeing screens later at night, watching the sunset or being exposed to that sunset light helps your body offset the whole melatonin and can't go to bed and mess your circadian rhythm conversation. That way, your sleep is not going to be as affected as if you hadn't done that. Number 11, walk within the first couple of hours of waking up. On top of all the benefits from being exposed to natural sunlight in the morning, there's also something called optic flow, which is when you're walking, you get, you're seeing things pass by, and that relaxes your system. It's one of the reasons walks can be so calming, and I'm also going to link this episode below in case you want to watch it yourself. Number 12, don't keep trying to fall asleep for more than 20 minutes. If for whatever reason you're trying to fall asleep and you can't and you're just rolling out of bed, don't stay there and keep trying to sleep, because that might actually even increase your stress levels, and then it's just going to be harder for you to sleep and such and such. Perhaps you want to go back to reading for a little bit until you actually fall asleep, or something else. Just don't do something that will super wake you up. If I may give you a suggestion, go learn about sleep. Go talk about sleep. Go research. Go experiment with it. Sleep is, in many, many senses, one of the greatest hacks that we all overlook. Just think back to one of those times where you had a really good night of sleep and the next day was just awesome. Imagine you can have that every day. Well, if you treat your sleep the proper way, you will. So there you go. Now you have a full list of things you can do for your sleep. Your 8 hours of sleep, see it as a given. Don't think 8 hours in bed. Think 8 hours of sleep. So maybe you need 9 hours in bed. Okay. And then whenever you're thinking about productivity or studying or anything else, work with the other 16 or 15 hours that you're thinking. Okay. Don't overlook sleep, or, I will go there. Don't sleep on sleep. Sorry. Anyway, thank you so much. If you want to be the best version of yourself, work with the other 15, 16 hours that you have and treat your sleep with dignity.